appearances as the maniacal Riddler of the TV series Batman, our guest today is the multi-voiced Frank Gorshin. And now, here's your man of the half hour, Skip E. Lowe.
Frank Gorshin, Pittsburgh, you and I have something very, very much in common.
What's that, Skip?
Don DiCarlo, Georgie Clare. I worked Pittsburgh at Lenny Lippman's Copa, and
Lenny Lippman.
remember on
sure.
Liberty?
Well, I never played the Copa.
No, I know you, but you
I
worked
knew
across
Lenny
the
Lippman.
street, though. And
The
you worked.
Carousel.
That was,
Jackie Heller's Carousel. It was the first club, my first that got my union card, my Agna card.
Really?
When I played that, yeah. And that was the result of having won a talent contest.
Right.
In Pittsburgh, which is my home.
Right.
I won a series of contests, and the final grand prize was appearing at Jackie Heller's nightclub for a week.
The club in town, it was.
It was, yeah.
Twin coaches and that.
And I remember when I won, there was a theater called the Enright Theater, which is now gone.
Right.
In East Liberty, that's a part of Pittsburgh.
Right. I worked that too.
I won the, yeah?
Yeah.
And I won the contest that night, and the star who was appearing at Jackie Heller's Carousel at that time was Don Cornell, and he came up with Jackie, for that contest, and presented the award.
Right.
To me, and then when I opened the Carousel, the star was Alan King. It was Alan King, King of Comedy, and there was a gal, Jackie somebody, who danced, Queen of the Dance, and at the bottom it was Frank Gorshin, Prince of Song.
Prince of Song.
Yeah, I was a singer.
You were a singer.
But I did Al Jolson.
Al Jolson. That was your first love, Al Jolson's, because you were working in the theater. Tell me about that. You worked in this little theater, Sherwood, or
the Sheridan Square Theater. Yeah, but that's I worked as an usher. That's how I started doing a lot of impressions.
Right.
I would see these people on the screen. Before that,
right.
Well, I guess I must have been 14 years old, 15 years old. A friend of mine wanted to take me to a movie.
Right.
In the afternoon, and he was going to pay for the tickets, and I didn't care where we went. We went to see a thing called The Jolson Story. I didn't know who Jolson was.
You didn't?
No, I was a kid, I wasn't and I thought, well, it sounded like a love epic or something. And I thought, so what? He's buying the tickets.
Right.
So I went to see this, and I saw this man,
Larry Parks.
personified by Larry Parks, yeah. And I saw this man in his life, what he made people feel, what he seemed to feel when he was making people feel those things that Larry Parks did so well. That whole thing about Jolson. I sat in that theater from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till it closed. I must have seen it, 4 or 5 times. I couldn't get enough of it. And I got off the streetcar that night singing like Al Jolson. Way down on the levee, Alabama. This daddy and mammy, this evening is Sammy on a moonlight night. You can hear them all.
Was that your
While
first?
they are waiting, the bands
I love it. Everybody was
see
doing
them
it.
shoveling along.
Frank Gorshin, you're not the only one. Everybody walked out of the theaters doing lamentation.
So,
Am I
yeah.
right?
But I just wanted to do it, and I would do it. I would do it on street corners for people. In a restaurant, I'd jump up on a table and do it. I just loved doing it. Loved what it seemed to, how it seemed to entertain people.
Right.
And those are my beginnings. I realized I loved that being able to do something that somebody's enjoying.
What was the other voice? What developed other voices? How did it all develop? Others' voices, impressions, talking, and all that. Like Burt Lancaster's.
But as I said, when I was the usher, I would see them on screen.
Yes.
And I would.
You would just do them.
I'd just start to do them. I'd do them. I'd do them for the people that came in the theater. If there was a Cagney picture playing and a couple came in, I'd say, all right, the 3 of us are going down this aisle, but only one of us is coming back. One after another, and before I knew it, I had a bunch of impressions.
You must have. I bet these people came every week to see you to do different impressions. You must have that.
Well,
theater.
the customs.
Yeah, am I right? You must have. No. That's so funny.
But and then I would enter contests, and I would do functions in high school, and.
But you went to Carnegie Tech.
And then I went to Carnegie Tech. And really, when I was in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
You didn't?
No, but I realized I loved this performing. And I thought, well, I guess that could be a career. So in Carnegie Tech, was a recognized drama school, which is now Carnegie Mellon.
Right.
It still is, you know.
Right.
It does have a good reputation. And I thought, well, that's it, you know. And I got involved with acting and...
But that's a great dramatic school.
Oh, yeah.
Carnegie Tech. It's one of the
And
best.
I realized I loved all of it, you know, acting and doing impressions, singing.
Then Frank Gorshin, what happened? New York, Ed Sullivan. That's, you know, you did a lot of Sullivan things.
Oh, yeah, I did a dozen.
How many?
A dozen Sullivan shows. But that wasn't the first. The first national show I did was Steve Allen. The old Steve Allen
Right.
show. Don Knotts was on it. You know, The Men in the Street, Louis Nye,
Right.
Tom Poston.
Was that your first?
That was the first time I was ever on television, you know, nationally.
And what kind of
19.
reaction did Frank Gorshin get on that show from the nation? Immediately, calls must have been coming in like crazy, Frank.
Well, I did the first show, and then they signed me for 6 more.
They did.
Yeah, and based on what they thought of me, and based on the
Right.
reaction that I seemed to get, you know, from the people outside. And then that eventually led to a contract with Ed Sullivan, and
Right.
a bunch of Sullivan shows. And
Did you enjoy doing the Sullivan shows? Because you mentioned Larry King. I just read that Larry King,
when did I mention Larry King?
I mean, Larry King, didn't you? Not Larry King,
Alan King.
Alan King.
Alan King, yeah.
Alan King is going to be doing the Ed Sullivan Show, a remake of Ed Sullivan Show in New York. I just read it. Did you hear about it?
No.
Isn't that a great idea? Isn't that a
Yeah.
great idea?
A variety format.
A variety
just like
format
that,
of
huh?
New York, yeah, from New York. And Alan King is going to host it just like the Sullivan days. And that's what we need. People like
Yeah, but
you.
Alan King can't say, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you can't do that.
No?
You can't-
Did Ed Sullivan get, did he love you when you come out doing himself? You impersonated that. What kind of a feeling did that?
Oh, I didn't do the impression of
Ed?
Sullivan.
When you-
No, I just not too long ago started to do it.
Really?
Yeah. And but I had done the other impressions. I did Anthony Newley. You know.
I love him.
In fact, I did Anthony Newley last night, right,
Right.
at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, Newley had it was a new star on the horizon. You know, he's creating noise. And,
What kind of fool am I?
But
Was
kind
that-
of with the it was esoteric. You know,
Yeah.
not the general public was aware of
Yes.
Anthony Newley. But I did this impression of Newley, and. No, was it Newley? No, now it's coming back. It was Robert Clary.
Robert Clary from
Remember
New
Robert
Faces,
Clary?
of
Right.
course. What's Logan?
Oh, I'm the
Yes.
manager. I'm the manager.
From New Faces.
Here, I do.
Uh-huh.
See them shoveling along.
Oh, you're going back to Joseph.
But I did Robert Clary,
Uh-huh.
and I had seen New Faces at 52.
Right.
And I was in New York. And he just really impressed me, Robert Clary, and I started doing him. So in one of my routines for the Sullivan Show, in rehearsal, I did Robert Clary. It was part of a thing I did. Then after the rehearsal was over, Mr. Sullivan asked me to come to see him you know, through his son, Bob Preck. And I went to see him, and he says, Frank, he said, oh, nobody knows. Nobody knows Robert Clary. And I said, well, yeah, I know. I said, but even if they don't know him, they're going to appreciate what I do
do,
at the
right.
moment. Nobody knows.
I love it.
Nobody.
Yeah.
The makeup man
Uh-huh.
said, I know Robert Clary. Then we broke for dinner.
Uh-huh.
And I was resigned to the fact that I better not do Robert Clary. And I came back, the makeup man wasn't there anymore.
Right.
He had been fired.
Right.
I guess I shouldn't say that.
That's okay. So
But
who
maybe-
did you
maybe
do?
it was just
But who did you-
coincidental.
But who did you do then?
Robert Clary.
Robert Clary.
Oh, but on the show,
On the
no, I
show.
just took him out.
You
I
took
just
him out.
that-
Well, who did you do on the show then? Replace of Robert Clary.
I just did, well, I had well, Robert Clary was one of
One
a
of the
series
series.
of impressions I did, and I,
I
just
see.
took him out.
Kurt
you know.
Douglas. Now, Kurt Douglas is one of the greatest. Burt Lancaster and Kurt.
I never sat in a chair like that.
Oh, you mean like I don't know.
That's nice.
It just
I-
makes me relax that way. Tell me,
This side.
you like that? I study ballet. Once in a while, I keep my hands up. Tell me about Kurt Douglas
Like a
and
good how to sit in chairs.
yeah, right. Tell me about Kurt Douglas and Burt Lancaster. impressions. I saw you last night at the Roosevelt Hotel where you were appearing.
What did you think of the show,
Oh,
Skip? Huh?
great. Just great. Tell me about Burt Lancaster and
What should I tell you?
I just want. How did you come up with this? Is that your favorite? Those are your favorites.
No, I really don't have any favorites.
You
I
don't?
just I like to do them all, you know. But some nights I'll seem to enjoy doing one more than the other because it's getting such a good reaction
Right.
from an audience.
To me, it seemed like you enjoyed that
so I'll
much.
spend more time with it, you know.
Uh-huh.
But that'll vary from night to night, you know. Like some nights I'll do Jack Nicholson, and people will go crazy when I do the Nicholson, you know, and I'll seem to, you know, have more fun with
Talking about Jack Nicholson, the Batman. You were on the Batman series.
that. That's right.
You were the Riddler.
The Riddler.
That's right, the Riddler.
Riddler.
That's right. Tell me.
R-I-T-T-L-E-R.
Right. Tell
Riddler.
me about the.
That's what the Los Angeles Times had. They had
Right.
the ad. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Frank Gorshin, the Riddler.
Riddler.
I always
The
thought it was the Riddler.
Riddler.
Right.
Riddler. Tell me, Frank. I just love.
But they had the Riddler in the
Yeah,
ad.
right,
It was a
right.
mistake, you know.
Tell
But I
me.
kind of liked it. There was a guy down, if I will, just let me finish. Sorry.
That's okay.
But that just reminded me, because there was I did a play, I did Rainmaker.
Right.
The thing that Burt Lancaster did. Not too long ago down at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. I always wanted to do that play, and there was a chance for me to do it. And I stayed at the officers' quarters. They had nice apartments there, you know, for
Right.
the officers. And there was a black serviceman, an army man,
Right.
you know, that took care of the premises. He saw me, and every time he saw me, he'd say, "It's the Ripper." The Ripper, you're the Ripper. And he would tell everybody, "That's the Ripper." You know.
Those tights. My God, you must have. Did you study ballet?
No.
You moved. How did you move so? Tell me about that movement.
Well, when I took a look in the mirror,
I want to. I mean,
I saw what I looked like. I figured I better keep moving. I don't want to give anybody a good look.
did you enjoy doing that show? Tell me. Did you, Frank?
Yeah, I did, sure. It was the first of its kind, you know. It was a comic book being brought to the screen. And It was fun. It was a chance for me to create this character, and I was on the very first show, so I take pride in feeling that maybe I set the pace
Right.
for that series, you know.
How do you feel about the new one?
The new what?
The
The new movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. But it's a complete departure.
Right.
You know, I mean, the movie is actually what the comic book was. And I remember when I read Batman, the comic book, I loved that character and all the villains and everything.
Yes.
That was serious stuff.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't for laughs, you know,
Yes.
it wasn't funny.
Yes.
But when we did the series, that was a spoof.
I
With the
see.
pow and the bam and biff and, you know,
Yes.
all the words on the screen. So it was satire. And it was done for humor, you know. Of course, kids enjoyed the action of it. But there was a lot of good humor in that series. But the movie is not that. The movie is really what the comic book was, sinister and heavy. And I thought it was terrific. I really did. I thought it was great. And
Eartha Kitt was in
in what?
in
Oh, in the series.
the series.
Yeah, she played. She was one of the
One of the cat women.
cat
Yeah.
women. Yeah,
And the other one was
Catwoman.
I interviewed the other one.
one of the cat women.
Women was a blonde.
You
it
say
was,
one of the
who was
cat
it, David?
women?
No, not
Did you
Lee
say
Remick.
one of the cat women
Yeah,
or
cat
one of the
women.
cat women?
Women. Julie Newmar.
Catwoman.
Yes, Julie Newmar.
Julie Newmar and then
Right.
Lee Merriweather.
And Lee
finally
Merriweather.
did it. Yeah.
Did they really? How many did they have? Three?
Three.
Three. So it was a success. See, I wasn't
Oh,
living
yeah,
here
it's-
at the time.
but
I was
it's
living in
enjoyed
Europe.
a bigger success
That's in '66, was
in '66.
Yeah.
was
See,
the
I wasn't
first year.
living here. I was living in the
But
Far
the
East.
reruns, you know, have
Yeah.
enjoyed more success than the series did it, you know.
Do you write
originally.
all your own material? Because last night, God, that audience last night, you just kept banging like bullets. I mean, do you write all everything?
I was really good last
You
night.
certainly were. Frank, I must tell you,
What?
you're old school of an entertainer. You're not just an impressionist. You are an entertainer. You
That's nice,
sing,
yeah.
you
Thanks.
dance, you act, and you're a very fine actor. You were, as a matter of fact, nominated for...
For the Riddler, I was
That's right.
nominated for an Emmy, you know,
Right,
for
right,
that.
right. You like to act, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. I like to act. I like to do it all.
You know how I
like
discovered
I like to
it?
sing. I like to
You know
play
how I discovered it
nightclubs.
last night?
Oh.
You did it with that cigarette routine. You took your time. I love that routine you did with the cigarette. And you took your time, and you made the audience wait.
It's because I couldn't remember the lines.
Oh, come on, Frank.
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't. So what comes next? You know, I hadn't worked for a couple of months. You know. No, I appreciate your saying that, but I've been doing the routine for a while.
Right.
You know, there's some timing you develop.
Right.
You know, I mean, all performers do. You know.
Where's Frank Gorshin been? I haven't heard from you for a long time. Around California, anyway.
Whatever happened to me?
No, it's not whatever happened to you. It's just that where have you been? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been doing plays. Right now, I'm working on doing a one-man show, much the same as Bobby Morse does.
Robert Morse in
Red's a
True.
big hit. He's doing True. Truman Capote
Right.
in New York.
Good idea.
And I've been approached to do a one-man show on P.T. Barnum. You know, we're going to call it Bar.
I love you. That's funny.
No, actually, it's going to be called First Time Anywhere. But it's a little frightening, you know, to stand. For me, I mean, when I work clubs, you know, I could do that. I could sing, I could do impressions, and tell jokes or whatever. But to stand on stage and be with no one to talk to, no other characters to
Frank Gorshin,
relate
just
with,
Frank Gorshin.
just me as P.T. Barnum telling everybody about my life. You know, there's a chance of being boring. You know what I mean? Unless it's written well, and unless you perform it well, all those things have to work. So it's really it's really frightening. But what I did was I read it. I read it for a group of 150 people. Just read the script, you know, for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Read the script, and it got such a good reaction that it encouraged me to really, pursue this thing. So.
Does Frank Gorshin know who he really is? Because you do so many voices, so many people. Do you really know who is Frank Gorshin?
I guess so. Well, what does that mean?
I don't know. I just wanted to, because you do so many voices. Sometimes I don't know. You have a lovely wife. You've been married. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, are you Burt Lancaster or are you Frank Gorshin or are you
Walter Matthau?
Walter Matthau? I don't know. See, that's what I want to find. That's very fun. I just wanted to find out if Frank Gorshin really knows who is Frank Gorshin. Because you do so many voices.
But you're talking to him. You get an essence from me, don't you? Don't you get a feeling from me?
Yes, now I'm getting it. Yes, yes.
Right?
Yes, very much so. And I really want to know, is Frank Gorshin, is he spiritual?
Spiritual. Religious?
No, just spiritual. Just spiritual in life.
I'm really not sure what you mean.
You believe, you meditate, how do you create yourself to get into your characters? How do you, because to get on stage like you've got to be spiritual. You got to think, you got to meditate or whatever. I don't know. How does Frank Gorshin prepares himself when he goes on that stage?
I just go out there and do it.
You just go out there?
That's all.
Really?
I just go out and do it.
Because, something terrible happened to you in your life when you first got into show business. When you first got into show business, you had to open up at Jackie Heller's Carousel.
What we talked about at the beginning.
Yes, right. Something terrible happened, and you had to go on stage.
I didn't think you were going to mention that. Yeah, although I didn't want to bring it up. Well, that's okay. No, it's all right.
It's a terrible thing happened, but that shows you the show's got to go on. You lost a brother.
My brother was killed. Yeah, he was killed in a car accident. He was 2 years younger than me. I was 17.
Right.
At the time.
And it was 2 days before you opened and your first engagement.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I felt so bad. I was crying, and my mom was crying, and preparations were being made, for his funeral, in a funeral home. And it was an opportunity for me. I didn't know whether to enjoy it, whether to be sad. It was strange, It was I didn't know what to do.
The show had to go on.
Didn't know what my commitment was, and I guess I tried to split my energies, and my folks insisted that I go and do it, and I'm grateful, to them for doing that. But it was, it was just really strange that it happened the way it did, because there was so much happiness for me when I won that contest that my folks enjoyed too, to see me that happy, and then suddenly, bang, that happened, and to my folks and to the mom to lose a son, like that, and
so you've had some rough
crazy.
times in life, then, Frank. Your rough times in life, because you're one of the finest impressionists in the world. You've traveled all over the world. Frank, I mean, there's so many impressionists, but they are all a little different. You know what I mean?
Little different.
Little. That's right, little. You know who I'm talking about, right?
The other guy.
Yeah, little. What do you think? He came after you, then. You first. And
Well,
then
yeah,
you
what the thing
you
is,
were-
well, he had been doing impressions while I was doing impressions. He's
Yes.
younger than I.
Of course.
And, but people hadn't seen him.
Right.
At the time that we were doing impressions.
Right.
I had the exposure already.
Of course.
And then I reached a point where, having done the Sullivan shows and the Steve Allen shows, and really couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to do. My agent, I remember, emphatically said to me one day, "You've got to make up your mind. Do you want to be an impressionist? Do you want to be an actor?" And I thought about it, and I thought, why can't I do it all?
Right. Entertainer.
Right, why can't I just be an entertainer? And so I wasn't that concerned. But then after some time went by, I saw that being a nightclub comedian, nightclub impressionist, and comedian, because that's the label they give you when you're not the singer on the show, you're the comic on the show. You get an image. People think of you as in a certain way.
Right.
And they're not apt to take you seriously.
Yeah.
And you've really got to prove yourself. And I guess I reached a point where I thought, well, let me stop doing impressions for a while. So I started turning down a lot of things that were offered to me. And Rich was in the wings,
Right. Right.
And I'm not suggesting that had I not turned them down,
Right.
this wouldn't have happened for Rich,
Right.
I don't want to sound like that. Because, I mean, he would have found his own, well,
Right.
whatever, because he's great. But I, at that time, decided not to be seen so much doing impressions. I wanted to squelch that. Because I wanted to...
So that's what you did.
Yeah.
So you really got into acting.
Wanted to act,
Yeah, right. That is your love, though, isn't it? Carnegie Tech,
Well,
that actually is your love, Frank.
Yeah, I love it.
Think,
I love to do that. Yeah, but I like doing what I do, too,
Because you're great. You love nightclubs.
I like nightclubs, too.
You like that cigarette. You love cigarettes. You like that smoke coming in the clubs, do you?
That's nice.
I love that routine you did. It was a fabulous routine. And you know what else I loved? I loved your Peter Lorre, the way you did that, your facial expressions of Peter Lorre.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
That was a great bit.
Thank you. Thank
You must have some favorite. 50 people that you do. You do 50-ish, you say. You must have someone who's really, that creeps out every once in a while.
Well, there are pieces I like doing more than I love to do the Camelot. Richard Burton doing it.
Camelot?
The final scene in Camelot. I love doing that piece.
The last thing, yeah.
At the end of the show.
End of the show.
I do
Brilliant.
The final scene in Camelot.
Right.
I love doing that. So it's not really that I enjoy doing Burton particularly, but Burton did do Camelot.
Yes, right. Has he ever seen you do that, Burton? Has he ever come to see you?
No, he had never seen me.
How about Burt Lancaster? What does Burt... When he
Burt
comes,
Lancaster ever seen Richard Burton?
No, Burt Lancaster ever see Frank Gorshin do Burt Lancaster. Come on. Does he? Does he ever?
Don't mix me up.
Now, mix you up. I'm a little confused. Tell me, does Frank...
Burt Lancaster... Kirk Douglas came to see me quite a few times.
Right.
I remember playing at the Century Plaza. He had come to see me when I, which is no more, I guess. The West Side
Century
Room?
Plaza?
Century
yes,
Plaza
it's still
Hotel?
there.
The West Side
Still?
Room? That's not there anymore.
Well, they have banquet rooms.
Right,
It's still there.
The hotel's there.
The hotel.
But they had a room called the West Side
On
room.
the side, I remember.
That
but
was,
no.
right.
For a showroom.
It was a showroom.
Yeah.
But he had come to see me there and at the Coconut Grove.
You worked at
But I
Coconut
don't
Grove.
remember Burt Lancaster ever really coming to see me, being in the audience.
And I'm sure he's heard of Frank Gorshin or seen you on television, and you do Burt Lancaster so great. I'm surprised if he
It's
sees
funny.
you.
I met Burt
you know.
Lancaster. I saw Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster up in San Francisco. They did a play called Boys of Autumn, where they were. It was the Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer,
Right.
as older men. Which eventually, I guess it went to New York. I think George C. Scott did it at the Circle in the Square with John Cullum. Yeah. But I thought maybe Kirk and Burt might have taken it to New York, but that never happened. But I saw the play, and it was so much magic watching the two of them on stage, you know. And I thought I could do that play. I mean, I could do both. You know?
Right, of course.
I could do the whole play. But I went to see them afterwards, you know, and Kirk is very demonstrative, you know. And I had met him before, too, and he appreciated the fact that I came to see him. Well, thanks, you know. And told him how great he was. Thank you. And you really liked it? And he would talk, you know. But Burt, all he did was laugh. I would say, Mr. Lancaster, I said, I just love your performance. Oh, and it was really great. Loved the whole play. I mean, I hope it goes to New York. See, he would just laugh.
Frank Gorshin. What is up for Frank Gorshin now? You're at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. What is your plans from here after?
Well, I told you I'm working on this Barnum thing.
That's it.
I'm seriously, you know.
Are you writing a book? Is Frank Gorshin going to write a book?
No.
About some of this?
About my life, you mean?
Don't do. Why not?
Who's going to read my book?
Oh, Frank Gorshin. Everyone would. You do many people. Why not?
A great title for it, too.
You do?
Whose life am I, anyway?
Very good.
That's not bad, huh?
Yeah.
No, I've never really thought about doing it. It's amazing how many people are. Carol Lawrence has a book out there.
Tell me, do you have any children?
I have one son. He's 25.
Son? Showbiz?
No, he's a photographer.
Any does he do impressions too, or
no?
No, not at all. Really?
Yeah. But he's a clever kid, though. He's got a great sense of humor, you know, and we have great rapport. You know, we understand. We see things the same way. You know.
Where does Frank Gorshin live?
In Connecticut.
Ah, great place. Eartha Kitt lives there
Westport,
too.
Connecticut. Yeah.
Westport, Connecticut.
Eartha Kitt.
She lives in Connecticut too. She moved.
Not in Westport though.
No, she lives outside. Yeah, she lives there, but she's in London right now. Are you good friends with Eartha? Are you still see each other?
I had met her, but I've never really. I was never involved in any of the shows that she did on Batman. You mean? When she played the Catman,
right.
The episode had to do with the Catwoman.
Right.
And nobody else, you know. And when I did my shows, they certainly didn't involve the Catwoman.
You know, George C. Scott. Has he ever seen you do George C. Scott?
How do you get from Eartha Kitt